Hi, I'm Phil Rude, and this is my 100 Days of Making Comics, days 51 through 54. Yeah, 54. Sorry, I'm still coming down from my giant high of hitting my halfway point a couple of days ago. Actually, I am a little disoriented because we have had people in and out of my house this week. With some big news. They have been finishing up the kitchen remodel project that we have had going on since last summer. So it is a big day here. Maybe you've vaguely seen me bitching about it on social media. It's been kind of a big cluster. We had our kitchen tore out last May because of mold issues. All the old cabinets had to go. We started the rebuild last July with a general contractor who dragged the project out until we fired him. And then we have finished it up ourselves. There's still a little bit of cosmetic work to do, but we have a functioning kitchen again, and that is a big deal. And I want to publicly give a shout out to my wife, who really did the work of the GC. She got estimates. She shopped around. She found what she wanted. She made phone calls. She wrote checks. She did everything right and got this brought home, and we were able to eat our first meal prepared in our kitchen last night since May of last year. And that may not sound like a very big deal, but if you've been the better part of a year without a kitchen, it really is. But enough about that. I don't want to... This isn't 100 days of remodeling kitchen. I wish it had only been 100 days. This is 100 days of making comics, and today I just want to talk a little bit about tools, about the tools we use to draw, the tools we use to make comics. And I feel like this is... I never know with my rambling. I don't feel like I have a lot to say, so this will probably be a shorter video. I don't have a lot to say that hasn't been said about tools. But sometimes I ramble and they go a little longer than I expected anyway. But yeah, I want to do this mostly because I am a pen nerd and I just enjoy talking about pens. And I enjoy trying new pens. When I watch artists draw, I'm the guy in the comments going, what kind of pen is that? And it's not because I think it's a magic pen that makes you draw. It's because I want to try it out. I love trying new pens. And I really think that's what a lot of young artists are looking for is, I hear this a lot on videos and podcasts where artists talk about pens and they go, it's not about the pen, it's about the skill. And we all know this. And it is worth saying, no pen is going to make you, it's not going to make you one of the all-time great illustrators. But finding the right pen for you, I think, will give you a leg up on that road. And I think when a lot of young illustrators and a lot of young cartoonists ask, what kind of pen is that? That's what they're looking for, is something to try out. Maybe they think that they're going to get the same line that you are out of it, or that it's going to fit them the same way that it fits you. But I think in general, and this is just what I found, it was easy for me to start with microns, but when I discovered brush pens, it was like, oh, cool. And there's a lot of them. And what's the starting point? So you just start asking. And I think that's really valid to do. And eventually you get to a point where you just are finding pens everywhere and just trying them out. But I do think it's worth saying, what kind of pen is that? I know it's not going to replace skill as something that helps me get my work done. but I'm looking for new things to try out. Currently, right now, because this is going to come around, the video that I am rambling over, primarily I am using a Tombow calligraphy pen. It's like a felt tip marker. And they have a couple different brands, and I switch back and forth, depending on what I'm doing. They have a soft tip. It's a soft felt tip, and I think that's primarily what I'm using here. I use so many pens, it's hard to keep track. That's primarily what I'm using here, and I do like that because it gives you a little wider line variation, which is something you would get with a traditional brush, which I also use sometimes. I'm just not real great with it. I feel like I'm always on the edge of out of control when I use a brush. I keep chipping away at it. I work at it here and there. But I'm not very strong on a brush after years of sporadically trying. So those are a couple tools I use. Microns, of course, or some other kind of tech pen. A lot of us start with those because they're easy. We all understand how to use a pen and how to, that's where I think I first started figuring out. And to say easy, I don't mean that it makes it easy to draw. I mean, it's an easy transition because the tip of that pen is not going anywhere. It's not a crow quill. It's not a brush tip. It's not flexing at all. It's just very straightforward what it is. And I think when we're first trying to figure out the role of ink and black, spot blacks and outlines on our illustrations, it's a really good place to start. I also generally use a couple of brush pens, and that is like traditional bristle tip brushes. A couple from Kuretake. There's a Pentel pocket brush pen. Became very popular in the last 10 years. About the time I started inking, it really blew up and everybody was using them. And I've used it for a long time. It's a great pen. Kuretake makes something comparable to that I think, for me, is a little bit better. I have a hard time getting a real fine line out of it, though. If I want something that's not a real heavy line, that's a lot of times when I fall back to something like a felt tip pen or a micron. And to hit on micron one more time, another tech pen that is really good is a Copic multi-liner. I've used those before too. They do make a refillable one, and they're made out of like aluminum. It's really cool. It's like a pen from the future. But yeah, really great couple of tech pens. Those are the brush pens that I employ. Are those generally the Kuretake? I do keep a Pentel pocket brush pen around, and I pick it up every once in a while. I do like the Kuretake a little bit better. And there is a full-size Kuretake brush pen, too, that I think gives me a little bit more control. And on certain lines, I think works even better. And I really enjoy that one. Let's see. There's a couple others in my rotation. Kuretake also makes a couple of felt tip pens that are really good. There's a manga style pen. It's a black bodied pen. It's not even at my fingertips right now, but anyway, Kuretake just makes, I think, great drawing pens and really cool. It's a good place to start. Them and Pentel, Tombow. Hey, if any of you companies want to sponsor me, I will work for pens. But it's, these are things that have worked for me and that I've come to after trying out a lot of different pens for a long time. So if you are in the process, if you're a young artist and you are looking for something, look for, don't look just at what other people are using, because they may not be a good fit for you. But I do think it's worth looking at what other people are using as sort of a jumping off point and go, I'm going to try this. Okay, what do I like about it? What do I not like about it? And then go from there. Find something comparable to it if you like it, but it's not quite right. And that's sort of how I've ended up using what I use. Real quick, just to hit on this, the paper I use, typically it's pretty standard. Bristol board, usually either a Canson or a Strathmore. Strathmore, I'm not super picky. I will draw on either one of those. I do find that the Canson Bristol, which is really great board, sometimes if I'm drawing with a crow quill, a dip pen in like a bottle of ink and a dip pen, an old fashioned, sometimes if I am drawing on Canson Bristol with that, it runs a little bit. It feathers. It does not keep a real tight line sometimes on the Canson. That's my only complaint, and that's really about the only time I will hold back from doing that. But I'm not super picky about which Bristol I'm using. And pencils are kind of whatever. Sometimes I use a Blue Line Ticonderoga. I have a pile of General graphite drawing pencils that I picked up on eBay. A lot of them, I've got a couple years supply. Mechanical pencils. I'm not super picky about pencils. Just kind of whatever's laying around. So that's one more tip I will have out there. Find the tools that are right for you, but don't be a slave to them. I know we all have our favorite stuff, but I like to think that I am flexible enough to go between a few different tools and still kind of get the same result. Sometimes I draw for a few days with a brush and a crow quill, and then I'll switch back to using felt tips. And later on, I'll go through pages and I'll go, did I use a brush on this page? Did I use and for me, that's a good sign, because it means I'm pretty consistent no matter what I'm drawing with. And I do like that. I'm not going to get into the whole digital versus analog. I've gotten into how much I don't like to stare at screens before, and that's just my 2 cents. But yeah, if you are digital and that's what you dig, that's a whole other tool. I can't really speak to it a whole lot. But that's exactly right for some people. And if that's what you use and you got a software that you use, drop it in the comments. If you are an analog artist and you got your toolbox full of your tools that work for you, let me know what they are. Like I said, I'm always looking for new pens. If you use something else and it's awesome for you, let me know, because I will probably try it out. I'm constantly on the lookout. I am going to also shamelessly plug my comic, The Adventures of Professor Whiskers. It is on Line Webtoon. I have 3 episodes up. I am working on more, and I would love for you to check it out. Someday I will address the big unanswered question, which is, why is it in black and white? And get into that. Other than that, that's all I've got this week. Let me know how you're doing on your 100 Days of Comics challenge, and I will talk to you next time.